Welcome back to part 2 of our interview with Bridgette Mayer. In today's episode, we're going to discuss what happens inside of you, shows up on the outside, and in your business. What it means to have integrity within yourself, and how to build that integrity, and what that will mean for you in your life and in your business.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategy, the technology, and the psychology peak performers use in order to get more done and execute at the highest level. If you know what to do but struggle with getting it all done, or simply want to raise your game to the next level, this podcast is for you. Sit back and enjoy. Tell me one of your weaknesses.
Oh, I have a few. One of my weaknesses, I would say, is that I've been thinking about this more recently, is that I don't ask for help. I'm someone where I'm like, if it's going to get done the right way, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it right. I'm going to do it the best way. And so because of that, I work a lot and I take on more work than I need to. And I don't ask for help with people in my life, including family and friends and including employees that could do more work for me. So that's definitely a weakness of mine.
You're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I mean, we all suffer from this. You know, it's interesting that you say that because at the event that I attended, and by the way, we were talking right before this interview, her husband was supposed to be at the same event I was, working out with the SEALs. I mean, that would have been crazy.
So crazy.
A small world.
Yes.
But one of the distinctions that I got was I also don't like to ask for help. And being in this Navy SEAL event, if you don't ask for help, you don't make it through, period. Everybody at the event at one point or another needs their teammates to help them get through. You cannot do it by yourself. And it was this big aha moment that I'm like, why do I keep struggling trying to force myself, to be the one always to do everything? Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's just part of the process. And you can go further and faster with a team.
Exactly. And so that's definitely a work in progress for me. And so you could do another segment on that.
Well, when your husband's well enough to go to the event, you go ahead and join him. We did have a lady there.
You know what? I thought about that. And,
do it. Do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. It'll be one of the toughest things you ever do in your life, but it is an amazing event. There's a woman that was in the event that was 50. She absolutely kicked my butt the entire time. If I'm carrying a 30-pound bag of sand, the women are carrying 30-pound bags of sand. The words that follow I am define who you are. How would you finish that sentence, I am?
I am amazing. And
I would agree with that.
I was raised in a very humble way after I was adopted, and my parents raised us to be grateful and not take things for granted and to not brag or think too highly of ourselves. And so, however, that for them was a generational teaching, back from when their parents were teaching them how to grow up. And however, I'm stepping into, I'm amazing. I love myself. I love spending time with myself. I love the things that I'm doing in the world. I love how I take care of people. I love how I care deeply about my business. I love how I take care of my family and how I show up in the world. So for me to look myself in the eyes every morning and say, I'm amazing, that feels good to me.
Was that self-love always there, or was that something that you built?
No, the self-love, I'm still building it, and it's a daily practice for me because I'm really tough on myself, and I'm really demanding of myself, and I have very high expectations and high levels of how I like to do things in my business life, and I realize that's not always good for me to treat myself in some of the ways mentally that I do, and even physically, because I was a athlete growing up, and I would, pound out a 30-mile run, and sometimes I didn't really want to do it. It was just pushing myself. So self-love for me it's like peeling back like layers of an onion. And if I'm stuck somewhere in my life, what I'm starting to realize is that, it's never really what's going on outside of me. It's what's happening inside of me, and how I'm showing up, and how I'm taking care of myself, and how I'm treating myself, because that's a reflection on how I feel about my outside world. So right now I'm also in another moment where I am trying to take better care of myself and be more loving and more patient with myself. And so that's a work in progress. And I do every morning. I have affirmations that I say. I love I am affirmations, and I teach them to artists because they're really empowering. And I believe in your subconscious mind and how you show up around that. So it's still a work in progress.
Well, we always are, but I guess from a young age, did you always have a good sense of self-love?
Yeah, I would say yes. Yeah,
Okay.
certainly.
And the reason I ask
yeah.
that is I see so many women entrepreneurs that I work with, and the first thing we have to start with is that self-esteem. And until we get that up to a level that is, a place we can build upon, everything else that we want to build upon after that isn't going to work unless we can form that foundation. So that's why I always love asking the women that I interview, was that something always instilled in you, or is it something that you grew? Is there some techniques or strategies that you can share with the audience if they're
Sure.
in a place where they just they're not really at a place of giving themselves that self-love and that self-esteem?
One of the things that I connected with very early on through my early business years was having integrity with myself, because I would have a day or a few weeks where I'd be promising to do this, that, and that to myself and other people. I wouldn't be following through with the things I was saying I'd be doing. And then that would kind of deteriorate how I was feeling about myself. And when I would break it down, it would come down to my self-integrity. If I say I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. And go for a run, and I decide to sleep in and not do the run, then that's going to leak into the rest of my day. And then the next thing that I say that I'm going to do and don't do, or, with a client, if I promise to do something or take on an action or activity, and if I don't follow through, then I feel like those items really can eat at your self-esteem. And so I became someone where my word was my word. And if I said I was going to do something to myself or for someone else, then I would do it. And if I couldn't do it, I would let myself or the other person know and why, and reschedule it, because I felt that keeping that intact helped me grow my self-esteem. And I do think that there's a connection to the two of them. And then, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say absolutely. And it's the cornerstone of execution and peak performance. If you can't keep your word to yourself and others, again, the foundation's not there. We've got to start there.
Yeah. And I notice it now in other people, where people say, oh, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. And then I'm like, and then they don't. Or, with artists or clients that I might work with. So I've noticed that I think people are so busy these days, and they're challenged by their schedules, that sometimes it's tough to keep your word, which to me starts eating away at your integrity, which is connected to your self-esteem. And so I only take on what I know I can handle, and I don't promise anything unless I know I'm going to deliver on it. And so when I go to sleep at night, I know that I had the day that I wanted to have. It was really complete. I followed through on all my promises, and I feel great. So I wake up in the morning in a great space to start my next day. And then the other thing that I've done, which it took me a while, and I worked with an incredible Tony Robbins coach over a 7-year period that really helped me with this. And because I didn't really agree with it initially, and I thought it was going to hamper my creativity. And that was every day before I get out of bed to know in advance exactly what my day is going to be. And I fought it for months, but I was working on a lot of different projects and needed to have more efficiency with my time. And I also wanted to make sure that my health and fitness were being kept up, and my personal relationships and all the things that were important to me. So what I realized was that through knowing my day in advance and the week in advance and even the month really helped grow my self-esteem and feeling more excited and being able to be present each day and each moment with the people in my life. And so overall, besides self-esteem, it increased my happiness level too. So I'm someone where I know exactly what I'm doing and when I'm doing it every single day. And that is, that's increased my self-esteem.
I teach, don't go to bed until you have a day set for tomorrow.
Yeah.
I know exactly what's going to happen tomorrow. Now, and then when I wake up, I look at it again just to make sure if there's any tweaks to it. And you bring up a really interesting point, because all overachievers, like we are, what do? We try to put more and more things into our schedule. And then if we get backed up, we start losing our commitment to things because we just can't fit it all in. Yeah. So what you say yes to is extremely important. And it's extremely important to say no more than most people are used to. As a matter of fact, I did a podcast, I don't know, about 2 weeks ago. And I said, stop telling people that you can't. You're lying to them. Just tell them that you won't, because that's really what you mean. You could do it, but if it's won't, just tell them won't. But you really need to learn how to say no to things. So how do you say no?
Wow. Well, see, my problem isn't with other people. It's with myself. And
but you could overcommit yourself.
Well, so what I have to do is say no to myself, because I have so many ideas and things that I want to try and do, and I'm in a position where I can do that because I work for myself. I have multiple businesses, and what I've realized is that it's not other people, it's me. I need to say, hey, no, that's not the priority right now. Like, no, circle back to that. Put it on your list of ideas and things that you want to come back to. And if it seems relevant in 2 to 3 months, then no, we're not doing that right now. And so it's more saying no to me.
Yeah, so you capture it. I always tell people I've got an S&M file. And they're like, they got a what? I said, it's a someday maybe file.
I need one of those. Thank you.
And you just
call it S&M.
There you go, the S&M file. So it's just, I capture things. I may never do them, but it's captured. And if I decide to, then I can. If not, but I'm not going to overload my schedule, because when I do that, things start to go awry. Another technique that I find very helpful, I've done this since I think I was 12. If I'm meeting someone, I will never say I'll meet you in 5 minutes or 10 minutes or a half hour. I will tell you I'll meet you in 6.5 minutes. And you get some strange responses from people. But when I tell you that it's 6.5 minutes, I'm telling my mind it's 6.5 minutes. There's no mistake of how long it's going to be. And the more specific I get with myself and telling and making those commitments, people rely upon me to be there at that time. And it really forces me to stick to it, because you're either early or late in your time. You can't be on time.
Yep. I agree with that. And it's funny, I'm now showing up a few minutes early to keep my my own integrity with my schedule. So I agree with that. I have multiple businesses that I work on, and now what I've done is, because everything was getting a little bit confused with my weekly schedule, so I've now organized my schedule and I've split it up Monday through Friday into exactly what business and what I'm working on in each day. And for people that have multiple businesses, this might be helpful for them, where one day I'm working fully on one business, the next day it's on fully on the next business, and so on. And that has really helped me stay focused and be really clear with my schedule and also not overloading it.
Well, and that strategy also is very productive as far as what you can get done. If you're switching from task to task or from business to business, it takes so much more time to do that than just stay focused into one lane. So that you're getting a lot more done by doing that.
Exactly.
Great strategy.
Yep. Yeah.
If you were flat broke tomorrow and you had to start all over again, what would you do?
What would I do for my business or?
Well, you're just life. You woke up and everything's gone.
Wow. No one's ever asked me that question. It's interesting because it's not something I don't think I've ever thought about, but I've certainly been there in my life of being flat broke with nothing. Well, with my current skill set, I would just start talking to people. I would go out and start figuring out really how to generate money again to cover my needs. And I might ask for some favors with friends if I needed housing or food or some immediate income. So I would start building my resources.
Yeah, your response is interesting because I've asked this question before of other people and they've kind of rattled it off. And I can hear in your voice that it kind of took you back to that time.
Yeah. Yeah, it did take me back because I was like, wow, I haven't been there since I was a little girl. And and even through, not doing well financially and making $6 or $10 an hour at my early jobs, I always took care of my money and my finances to be okay. That's not even something I've ever thought about.
Yeah. But you have amazing skills that you started to create at age 6.
Yeah, I mean, I have skill sets that I would utilize, and really building rapport with people and connecting with them in a genuine way, in an authentic way, and sharing my story, and that gets back into I'd have to ask for help, and I certainly have enough people in my life. I have thousands of people that I've worked with that I know would love to help me if I needed it. So, and I would offer whatever value I could in return for whatever was being given to me. And that's really been my MO in life.
Every peak performer that has ever lived or will live does one thing extremely well. They know how to take their ideas and execute on them. Ideas and knowledge are not power, but the ability to execute on them, that is real power. If you consider yourself a peak performer and really want to take your game to the next level and truly master the science of execution, I would like to send you some information about our upcoming event, Business Execution Summit. Simply take your phone and text the word BE Summit, one word, to 41411. And I'll send you some additional information on how to master the most important skill you will ever acquire for your life or your business. Thank you so much for listening today. I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you found today's show valuable. If you would like to receive these shows automatically to your phone or to your computer, simply go to iTunes and subscribe. After listening to several of the shows, if you're so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating, as this helps us reach additional people and spread the message. If you're truly committed to taking your life to the next level and doing whatever it takes to become a peak performer, but something's holding you back, something is blocking your way, and you just can't seem to figure out what it is, send me an email to info@thorconklin.com, and I'd be more than happy to get on the phone with you. We'll schedule a 15-minute discovery call. No obligation, no cost. I absolutely love to hear from the listeners, and if there's something I can do to help, I'd be more than happy to do that. Also, if you found something of great interest in today's show and you want to share that with your friends and family, simply go to my Facebook page, Thor Conklin, click on the episode, hit the share button, and share it on your page. You can follow me at Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. We're constantly adding new free resources, discussing additional tricks, tips, tools, and strategies on how to be a peak performer. Remember, I try to keep these episodes short so you can listen to them during dot time, doing other things, commuting, driving, walking, working out. decide to be a peak performer in all that you do. And until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day. That concludes part 2 of our interview with Bridgette Mayer. Please stay tuned later this week for the conclusion, part 3.